Hello, guys. I wanted to take some time to recap the game with UTSA versus Rice. I meant to do this over the weekend, but your boy was in the ER this weekend. So, yeah, I had to make sure that I was all good to go before I was able to get you guys this recap. But I am good to go now. So, I wanted to go ahead and break down the game and just give you guys some perspective from me of what I took away from that game. Obviously, UTSA won that game 61-13, which is great. We finally had a UTSA game this season without any drama, without any stress. That was a nice change up from what it has been the entire season. So I am very, very happy about that. And I think a statement was made. Not necessarily to the rest of the conference because Rice, let's just be honest, Rice wasn't that good, especially with us knocking multiple quarterbacks out throughout that game. But I think the most important takeaway from that game is UTSA was able to prove to themselves that, hey, when we show up and we play well in all three phases of the game and we play disciplined football and we aren't giving away a ton of penalty yards, we can be really, really dangerous. I think that's what that sends. It still gives you that gave you remnants of what a trailer team is like firing on all cylinders, and we hadn't seen it at all this season. Even in the other two wins that we had in the season, they were very much. I mean, one was against UIW, which is the FCS team, where you know there's things you can nitpick in that game that wasn't really um, up to par. You could see there was still chinks in the armor at that particular time. Then obviously the Colorado State game is the game we won where you could really pick apart the offense and the offensive struggles that we had, even though the defense has started to play well. So in this game against Rice, there's no complaints. Not from me. You're not going to hear many complaints from me, other than I. Where has this been? So here's kind of where I want to go with it. I think I want to start on the offensive side of the ball and give you guys my thoughts on what we saw there. On the offensive side of the ball, I think the biggest thing that was eye opening to me was the deep shot on the second play of the game. I think verbatim, someone asked me last week in the game preview coming into the game last Wednesday. They asked me like, something has to change offensively. What do you expect to change? And I said, well, listen, from a philosophy standpoint, they're not going to change their offense, right? Like you're still going to see screenplays. You're still going to see what you're still going to see the same Burke play calls, but there's an application of that. And one of the things that I brought up and I said verbatim is expect a deep shot first couple plays of the game. And we saw that. And the reason I said that is because when you look back at that Temple game, they start cheating their safeties down to 10 to, I mean, sometimes even 8 yards because they wanted to make sure that box was loaded so they could slow down Robert Henry. So the way you stop teams from doing that is you hit them over the top on a deep pass, and now it makes those safeties have to sit at 12 to 14. You know, so I thought it was very telling on play two. Boom, McCown to AJ Wilson on a 50-some yard or on a long touchdown pass. That's huge. So I just that sort of thing right there would open up running lanes. It opens up screenplays because those safeties now have to worry about a downfield threat. And I thought it was good that we saw that. McCown threw two really good deep balls in that game. He was a bit more efficient throwing the ball deep downfield, which is something I think we need to see. Um, so that was a positive takeaway. I think AJ Wilson, I mean, the more and more we get that kid into the game, like in my opinion, he's going to be a direct factor. He is going to be a single direct factor to show if UTSA's offense is doing well. Because if they're hitting him on those shots deep downfield, it's going to open up the stuff that Burke really wants to call, and that's the screens. That's some of the run plays, all the myriad of run plays of how we try to get Robert Henry and Will Henderson the ball. So I thought that just set the tone right there that okay, this is going to be a different kind of outing. I think McCown was good. He ran the offense well. Got to give credit where credit is due. He did a really good job. No complaints from him at all whatsoever in that particular game. I want to see more of this. At the end of last year, while I was so confident in him coming into this year, and I've been disappointed in general with his play. Um, to start this season is because I saw a lot of the potential and I saw a lot of growth from his season last year. When you look at where he started last year and then look at where he ended, it was a completely different quarterback. And my expectation was, okay, that guy that we seen at the end of last season is going to step up and be even better coming into this year. Um, so yeah, it was just good to see him, step up and show what he can do. I think from a running game standpoint, still not quite as good as we have been with Robert Henry, but Will Henderson, five rushes for what, 115 yards. Yeah, 5 rushes, 115 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Excellent performance from him. Robert Henry didn't do bad, but not his normal, what we've become to get used to. He was still 12 carries, 64 yards, and a touchdown, so he still contributed well as also. What I will say is, I like to see the receivers still get involved a little bit more. It's still a little bit more spread out than I like it. I mean, Devin McEwen, that kid, he got 3 catches on the game. Got to get him more involved. But overall, I think we spread the ball around well. DJ Allen came in and contributed with a touchdown. He had a really good play. AJ Wilson with the big play as well. Um, David Amador is someone that has not been able to thrive in the offense this season. He only had 2 catches for 8 yards, so we really didn't get the tight ends involved much at all. Houston Thomas had 1 catch, 2 yards. Dan Dishman had 1 catch for 12 yards. Patrick Overmeyer had no catches. So yeah, I mean, you like to see him see those guys get the ball a little bit more. But overall, look, offensively, no complaints. One of the things I'll say is there's a lot of talk about like what changed in the offense, and I seen some graphics or I seen some stuff online already about like, oh, like we're not doing screens as much as we used to. We're not doing those because of how it's because of. I mean, listen, I'm not saying that he's not purposely deviating from some of those screen type plays just because it's too predictable. I am sure that has something to do with it. Coach Traylor has called the offense predictable in press conferences, so I'm sure he's switching it up a little bit to accommodate that a little bit. But football is not that difficult to understand once you really like start understanding some of the X's and O's. The reason the screens are the reason the screens or you're seeing less screens, at least from my perspective, this is just my perspective, is because of how teams are defending UTSA now. They like teams are watching us on film and they're like, hey, this team likes to run a lot of screens. They like to get the ball on the perimeter to their receivers very quick. And this is a staple of UTSA's offense. So whenever you have a coach's game planning for UTSA, what are they going to do? They're going to try to take away what they perceive your bread and butter is. And what we have seen a lot more lately, especially in the last 3 games, mostly in against Colorado State and Temple, but you've seen it some against Rice as well, is zero coverage press man or press man look. That is going to discourage screens. If a corner is already pressed down on the receiver who is supposed to receive a screen play, it's typically not going to be enough time for that blocker to come and actually make a block on this guy. It's going to be a quick bang bang play. So it discourages screens in general. Now we've still called some while they've done that, and they really have not worked. But like, that's really what you're seeing. So you're starting to see teams press us a little bit more, and it discourages the screen. So we have to check out of it. That's what you're seeing a lot more. So that's why the number of screen attempts go down because teams aren't playing us in soft zones. If teams plays us in soft coverage, soft zones, we're going to screen them all day. That's just what the read's going to be, but teams aren't doing that. And if you look at what Temple was able to do and you look at what Colorado State was able to do, they limited our success offensively because they took those things away and they made McCown and our offense have to do things that we aren't very efficient at. It didn't work against Rice. Obviously, we came out and we busted their heads from start to finish. I think we won the battle up front too with our in the trenches with our offensive line, but some of the staples in our offense of us not doing like so many screenplays has to do with what the defense is showing us. Also, like I don't have any complaints with the offense, but the offense is still the same offense. Like because things worked, people are like, oh, well, like the offense completely changed. It did not. It did not. Yeah, there was a few tweaks here or there. Like I said, I think taking the shot deep downfield early in the game was really important, and we need to do that more just so teams aren't sitting so heavy to stop the run, and people aren't not they just need to have to respect us downfield. But like you didn't really see a difference in play calling much other than it just worked. There you go. It just worked this time. It just worked this time. And I say that to just like set expectations. Because what will happen is like soon as he has a bad drive or two against next week at North Texas, who are a much better team, even though that defense gave up 60 plus points to USF this past weekend. Uh, you'll see people say, "Oh my gosh, he's going reverting back to what he did before." He didn't change much against Rice. He had some very subtle tweaks, and a lot of what he called worked. It's just that simple. So, um, but you got to give credit where credit's due. 61 points. I mean, the defense had a lot to do that, which I'm about to talk about them here in a second. 61 plus points. Basically, just undressing Rice's defense very, very early in that game. You got to give Burke and the offensive staff credit. They got it right this week, and I'm excited. I hope this is the start of something. Next, I want to go to the defense. Here's what I'll say about the defense, just really quick here. They came out and they were hitting hard, bro. They were smashing. They were smashing that Rice team. They were hurting those guys. They were just big contact. We just showed that we were just better than them. And that's the type of thing you want to do. You want to go out there and show that you're better than somebody. And we did that. The linebackers were excellent. Shad Banks is, I mean, if UTSA starts to pick up some wins, you're gonna have to look at him as like a real contender for defensive player of the conference. I mean, he's excellent. He's a magnet to the ball. He was involved in takeaways again. He scored a touchdown, did he? Yeah, I mean he's that kid's incredible. Blackshire was incredible. He had a really, really good game. I think this is his best game in a UTSA jersey. Jimmy Ward, I thought played really well. KK Meyer, he smashed. He knocked their backup quarterback out the game. That hit on the sideline was just insane. We were just out there flying around, dude. I mean, you just gotta put the front seven was great. I think we did some really good things in the secondary. I mean, we did give up a big run, and we made some mistakes in the secondary, but I thought we made some really good plays too. The thing I'll say about the defense is, guys, our defense. Our defense, let me make sure I'm getting this correct. Over the past 3 games, in my opinion, have been pretty. I mean, you can go back to UIW to an extent, even though that's the FCS team, and UIW did have some success when they switched their quarterback. But you can put that game in there, right? I think they were good against UIW. They were good against Colorado State. I think they were good against Temple. A lot of people are going to get upset about that 21-point third quarter. Guys, anytime, and I'm going to continue to say this whenever I reference that game, anytime they gave away the first drive, Temple drove the ball down our throats 100%. But we had an interception that set Temple up in favorable field position, and we had a poor punt that set Temple up in favorable field position. That was tough for us to get out of. Like we're not. If I don't think they get 21 points if they weren't set up the way they were. So I actually think they did really well against Temple. Um, Outside of being put in some bad situations, and they were great again, or they were great against Rice. And I know Rice was completely depleted, but you know it didn't have to look the way it looked. So I think the defense has really come along this season. And I was telling people earlier, like earlier in the year, you got to understand, or if you take a second to understand what Jess Lep's defense looks like when it's really good, they're gonna get after the pass rush and they're gonna create takeaways. It's not gonna be a defense that's gonna blank the opposing offense. No, but they're gonna get off the field on third down. They're gonna create takeaways. They're gonna get after the quarterback. That's what when you just look at the Lep's defenses within UTSA and how and what they look like and how good they are. That's what he wants. And that was a perfect game for them on that side of the ball. So you got to give them a whole bunch of credit, man. I'm really happy that our defense is playing like this. Um, and I think it was my biggest takeaway in the game as a team. Um, and I forgot special teams. Special teams did good as well. But my biggest takeaway from this game as a team is finally we put all three phases together. But more than anything, the confidence is going to come from this. You need a game like this that makes you believe all like it will piece everything together. Coach Traylor had been talking about, him being frustrated at some of the results because the performances have been there. From whatever they're seeing on film, the performances have been there, right? I think this type of win will have everybody in that locker room really, really believe in that. All that doubts that had maybe crept in that locker room or around the team. Now folks are going to believe like, okay, we really can do this. Now we just got to put this together on a week to week basis. Um, and the game at this weekend against UNT is not going to be a favorable matchup for UTSA at all. However, coming off a win like that, and when you talk about momentum, and you talk about what UNT just went through, they're suffering, the loss they suffered, their first loss of the season. You just never know, right? You never know. You never know what can come of this. That team is coming back from a loss. UTSA is coming off of a huge victory, something to where they've proven themselves. I'm not going to get too much into that game, but because I have a show on Wednesday, obviously. But I just look at what this possibly being a confidence builder for UTSA, and I hope it does scale throughout the season. We need to see more of this. I will go back to I noticed just a quick comment on some of Traylor's comments after the game about like what did he say? He was like, we haven't lost a conference game since 2020. Conference home game since 2020. I think we're 21-0 now. And he made a reference to like, I think he told JJ to say that again and basically saying, y'all guys want, Trailer fired, Lep fired, Burke fired, and McCown fired. And I like that he did that. I like that he said that because you want your coach and you want the team to fight back and have a sense of fight. And they hear all the noise, they hear all the talking, they hear the frustrations, and you want them to respond to that. So I think that's a really good thing. For me specifically, I'm the only one that I don't, like I said, I don't call for people's jobs like that, but the only person that I have a huge question mark about still is Burke. Saturday is as great of a day that does not erase the question mark I have for him. I've never cared. I definitely don't want Traylor to go anywhere. I'm okay with Lep and McCown. I don't think he should be benched. I never thought he should be benched, but it is okay to acknowledge that he hadn't been playing well. But I think in general, you want your coach to have some bite back, and I think that's great. So ultimately, I'm just hoping the runners are able to capitalize off this and and take this thing to the next level. So see you guys Wednesday for the preview to UNT.